Hey everyone, and welcome to Cattlefield 2042 episode 1. It's the 26th of November today as I'm recording this, so we're update 2 live and going. So everything I'm talking about now is post that update. What I want to talk about today, however, is one of what I think is the core fundamental problems balance-wise that 2042 is suffering from, and it affects a large selection of gameplay choices by individuals playing the game. The problem as I see it is that the maps are massive. Now that's not obviously a bad thing with 128 players, but even with 128 players sometimes those maps do swallow them whole and that you can't see people for miles. But I think the main problem actually comes from the vehicles, in that you either spawn in a vehicle and are fine, or you don't spawn in a vehicle and you have to run for miles to get to the nearest objective. Now the problem there is that, first of all, if you're on foot and you have to run all the way to get to objectives, you're always going to be lagging behind those who are in vehicles, which means those who are in vehicles are always going to get the major XP, because you capture flags and objective wise you get more XP than if you just kill someone or res someone or support someone in some other manner. So there's an imbalance there straight away. Second of all, the fact that people are on vehicles going from flag to flag means that typically there's a vehicle zerg from flag to flag, which means that the enemy's vehicles will be on the same objective as your team's vehicles, and you as a squishy foot soldier stand no chance at all, particularly when you throw in little birds, which are, in my opinion, still quite overpowered with their rockets, and attack helicopters as well. Then what happens, of course, is that people have a choice. Because of the way the specialists are right now, there is a choice of either having a support equipped item like a medikit or an ammo crate, or you have a rocket launcher to try and take out some of the armored vehicles. Now, there's a problem there in that because of the either or status and because of the vehicles that are created by the size of the maps, most people will choose to be rocket launchers because they can take out some of the vehicles, because they just can't deal with the amount of them on target at any one time. Because again, we've had this Zerg feeling created because vehicles go from flag to flag quicker than everyone else. So what we have to do is consider the following. 1, do we add more vehicles? And 2, how do we change specialists to make them more adaptable to the situation as is? And does one predefine the other, or should one happen irrespective of the other? So let's talk about the specialists, because that seems to be one of the core issues that Battlefield players are suffering from, or rather concerned about right now. And that is that they don't have any defined process to them, in terms of you can go and see a Falk running around as a medic and expect her to have a medic's bag, but she doesn't. She'll have something else like a rocket launcher because of the Zerg. So my feeling about the way specialists are done, and I've actually put a graphic about this out on my Twitter channel, which is at Sergeant Danger Cow, if you want to go and check it out. And my feeling is that you should be able to have a class-specific gadget as well as a secondary gadget. So at the moment, for example, Sundance, who I play a lot as Sundance, just because I love the wingsuit, frankly. Sundance has the separation frag grenades, and they have the wingsuit, obviously, which is their kind of default thing. And then you have the chance of being support or rocket launcher and so on and so forth. So technically, Sundance has 2 default quote-unquote attributes, and then there's a selection for either or. And this is where I think the game falls down balance-wise, because you have to have that either or, rather than knowing that Sundance has this and then that as their default things, and everything else is you can have ammo or you can be anti-armor. It doesn't help define the roles. Now, I haven't got an issue with the idea of specialists. I think it's actually quite an interesting thing. I just feel that they need to have one gadget locked to a certain class structure, and then one gadget that is open to anything else. And I think that is the way they can help balance out the specialists and how specialists are used to combat particular situations in the rock, paper, scissors that Battlefield is known for. I think that one could move all of the spawns closer to the objectives and out of the open around the objective spawns. And the initial spawns could be a lot closer. You could be dropped in a lot closer to the first or nearest objective to your base spawn. In terms of the actual vehicle content, I think there's a cap now on how many vehicles there are in the game, but almost all of the vehicles have some sort of weapon attached to them. So what we need to do is maybe have more vehicles that aren't weaponized and throw them into the mix. The problem really at the moment is that people are forced to choose between survivable dynamics and support dynamics. And that's really where it comes in. If you're supporting someone, you become incredibly squishy. And if you're not supporting someone, you're not as squishy, but you're also not helping out your teammates. So I think there needs to be this breakaway from what the specialist system is now and restructure it into a more class-based, locked gadget system. I think with those changes, we could potentially have a much more balanced game on our hands, a lot more enjoyable for people, and a lot more understanding of what people's roles are within the game. So that's it for now. I hope that was a fairly understandable, but if not boring and lengthy video to get my point across. Anyway, stay Wagyu. I'll see you on the battlefield. Take care.